All right, righty. All right, this country is in trouble. There's a lot of people with a lot of money and power just want to tear this country down. But you know, Sun Tzu said, to know your enemy in 1,000 battles, you will always be victorious. You know, someone put a lot of effort into putting a Marxist Muslim in the White House for 2 terms. Okay, now I'm going to say a lot of crazy things, and most of you have probably no idea that this is going on. All right, so if you don't believe it, that's okay. I have a list of resources. You can check this stuff for yourself. I don't ask you to believe any of it, okay? You can check. If you can prove me wrong, I'm listening. I want to know, okay? So I have these references here. You can pick them up on the way out. Okay, now my message here is controlled by elites. The people who are running were people who are saying there's global warming going on. You know, they've got the money to make this happen. They got the money to make you believe it, even though we know better. Okay? Now, the news, TV, movies, and even the music are all controlled to make you believe certain things about this world. Our behavior and thoughts are controlled, and we do not even suspect that we are victims of the rich and powerful. If you've seen that movie, The Matrix, okay, that Matrix is what we are living in now. We are mind-controlled slaves, okay, to the Matrix. Only in the movie, they had these people in these pods and stuff. It's pretty cute. So Morpheus, if you want to silence your cell phone so we don't record that, Morpheus offered Neo is the acronym for the One, O-N-E, the One. All these movies throughout moviedom have the same theme here. Anyways, the One will come and save the world. Okay, and he's offering him a red pill and a blue pill. He says, if you want to take the red pill, you'll be able to understand what I'm going to teach you. If you don't care, if you don't want to know, if you want to go on living in the Matrix, okay, take the blue pill. Okay, take the blue pill and you can continue in the Matrix. So I have some blue pills for those who don't want to accept what I'm saying. Okay, and you can take a blue pill and you can go back to your life in the Matrix. But if you don't take a blue pill, I can't assure you that you will safely return to your life in the Matrix. All right, President Roosevelt. Okay, we're supposed to think that all events are accidental and coincidental, and because of that, we think there is nothing we can do about it. All right, and Franklin Roosevelt said in politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. Okay? Now, you talk to people, you know, people say, oh, there's a conspiracy, you're a conspiracy nut, okay? All that started with the JFK assassination. Anybody who said there was a conspiracy to assassinate JFK, you're a conspiracy nut. And anybody who says there's a conspiracy to run the world, you're a conspiracy nut. And that's where it started, was the JFK assassination. So if you go to FBI.gov, Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone and he assassinated President Kennedy all by himself. Okay. Now, if you go on YouTube, and this was broadcast by the History Channel, it was on TV, 9 hours. 9 hours on the assassination, and it's titled "The Men Who Killed Kennedy." You can see it on YouTube. It's 9 hours long, and it's got all this stuff in it. Okay. After the Kennedy assassination, the New World Order-controlled news media began responding to people who exposed their plans by ridiculing them for being conspiracy nuts or wackos. All right? So if you look at this 9 hours, you'll see that the shooter on the grassy knoll was Lucien Sarti. That's his name. He was a hitman for the Corsican mob, and they arranged this. And in case somebody got caught, they were Corsican mobsters. They wouldn't be tied in with the American mob or the Sicilian mob or any government agencies like the CIA, right? So here's the speech that killed Kennedy, all right? just before he was assassinated, he gave a speech, and on that speech he said, "For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day." We see that happening even today. It is a system that has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. And he ended this with saying, "There is a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high office, I intend to expose this plot." All right? He didn't do that. He didn't get that far. All right, now there's these elite people who are running the world here. They have a chaplain. His name is Lindsey Williams, and he says, you know, these people have their own ethics, okay, and they won't do anything to us without telling us first. You know, like that movie, The Matrix. They're letting us know that they have control over our mass mind control over us. Okay, now go back to the JFK assassination. There's a lady named Judith Vary Baker. She wrote a book called Lee and Me. And she talks about her romance with Lee Harvey Oswald. And she helped, Oswald was helping her brew cancer strains in her kitchen. And there's the apartment there, or the building where they were renting. And she was an honor student in college and wanted to develop a cure for cancer in medical school. And Dr. Alton Ochsner recruited her to develop a fast-acting injectable form of cancer to assassinate Castro for the CIA. Well, in the end, the fast-acting injectable cancer was actually used on, guess who? Jack Ruby. Oh, he died of cancer in jail in a couple of weeks. How about that? All right. Some things we don't know about Lee Harvey Oswald. After he was discharged from the Marine Corps, he took a flight to Finland, and he was cleared into Russia in only 2 days. People with good connections can get into Russia in 2 weeks from Finland. Otherwise, it's going to take you years. Madame Maria Hare, she sat around Paris for several years, and finally they sent her a letter, "We don't want you. You're nothing but a welfare brat. We don't want you." So, now Marina didn't even know Oswald was American when they were married in Russia. Okay, he says, "Oh, we're going to go to New Orleans now." And he spoke fluent Russian. His wife didn't know that he was not Russian. No, I didn't hear about that in the news. Did anybody hear about that? Okay, now they show videos of Castro passing out "Fair Play for Cuba" leaflets. Now, what was that? If you check that out, the FBI and CIA were, Oswald was obviously a CIA stooge. Okay, and on this 9 hours of Men Who Killed Kennedy, there's a guy named Tom Wilson. It's hard to see, but that's a scale model of the wound inside Kennedy's head. He made this scale model from from photographic technology of the day. The FBI could have done that. Okay, so it's obviously a cover-up. Okay, he was a photographic expert, and Wilson says at the point of impact, here's a point of impact. It's coming up. The bullet was coming up. He says the bullet was coming upward, not across, and not back and down. Okay? The fatal shot came from the storm drain. There's Jack Brazil. He's in the storm drain, if you can see that. He says, and they showed in the thing there, they showed a car going by with the storm drain open. He could easily have made that shot. He made that shot. That's what killed Kennedy. And you can just walk from that position in the storm drain, walk to the Trinity River, and nobody knows. Here's Malcolm Wallace. This guy murdered several people for Johnson, Lyndon Johnson. Okay, Billy Saul Estes, remember him in the past? He would say things. He gave the list of the people that Johnson killed. He killed his own sister, Josephus. He had Malcolm Wallace murder his sister, Josepha, because she was blabbing too much. And her boyfriend, John Kinzer, is on the list. John Kinzer, actually, Malcolm Wallace was convicted of first-degree murder for Kinzer, but LBJ got the judge to give him a 6-month suspended sentence. Now here's a police fingerprint expert. He found fingerprint of Malcolm Wallace on a box at the school book depository, and he submitted a formal evidence to the FBI, and they sent him a letter back saying they're not going to investigate this. Okay, so what is all this with Kennedy anyways? Joe Kennedy was the ambassador to England in World War II, and he started supporting Hitler. And Churchill's told Franklin Roosevelt, get this guy out of here. So they recalled him, but Joe Kennedy was in with these people, and he found out what these people were really like, and he didn't like it. And he vowed that he would raise his sons to become president, so that they could destroy this, stop this stuff, and fix our country. You know, JFK was printing money. Okay, they didn't like that. The Federal Reserve doesn't want anybody putting any gold certificates or silver certificates out there, do they? All right, he had plenty of enemies. He was going to limit the CIA to information gathering only, and mobster Carlos Marcello wanted him. That's on the History Channel. That's nothing new. So Kennedy didn't make it to fix things. Now, how do we know about all of these people? Carroll Quigley, if you heard of him, he was Bill Clinton's tutor in politics. Okay, and he wrote a book called Tragedy and Hope. He wrote another one, the Anglo-American Establishment. Okay, well they didn't assassinate him for blowing the whistle, for exposing their stuff. If you want, that book is 1,200 pages, Tragedy and Hope. You know, if you want to read all of that. I've read books that go down to highlights. Talks about the Rothschild financial dynasty. These are the guys who are really running the world. They're the one that are printing the money. All right. So anyways, so I'm looking up, and I says, maybe I can find Tragedy and Hope in a free download. I can read this. I don't want to go through all this. So I did search for Tragedy and Hope, and I found tragedyandhope.com. And I found this guy, Richard Grove. He's the whistleblower of a $100 trillion Wall Street scam. Okay, and he got fired. He got blacklisted. He sued. You know, he thought he had Sarbanes-Oxley whistleblower protection, but the judge waited till statute of limitations was up and threw the case out on technicalities. Okay, so now, but Richard Grove says, I'm trying to tell you, read this book, Thanks for the Memories by Bryce Taylor. So I look it up. It's on Amazon for $100. There's 2 copies left. Anyway, but I found it. You can download it free, PDF. Thanks for the memories. You know Bob Hope? Remember Bob Hope used to talk about Hollywood parties. What kind of parties was he talking about? This is Susan Ford. She writes under the name Bryce Taylor in there, and you can see she was a mind-controlled slave, okay, under the Monarch Mind Control Program. All right, MK Ultra for the super soldier stuff. But anyways, it's expensive to program a person with this mind control. It's a trauma base. They dislocate every joint in your body and set it back again to horrible pain. Bob Hope was her owner, and they use hypnosis and stuff. And Henry Kissinger was her handler. He would leave her in file rooms in government CIA offices, and she would memorize whole files. And he would ask her questions, and she would access the files in her memory and give him answers. Okay, so anyway, she had a car accident. She told the psychologist she's having these memories because when they take a mind control slave, they put you in tremendous pain. They give you drugs so you don't pass out from the pain, and your mind splits. And then they put multiple personalities in your mind. Okay, and the personalities don't remember each other. So when she had this accident, she says, "I'm having these memories," as you know. when Bob Hope and Henry Kissinger and these suspicious agents, dark-suited guys were following them around, and so the psychologist took her to Hawaii and deprogrammed her with hypnosis for a couple years and found out what all this was all about. Okay, now in the Redwood Forest, Northern California, there's a place called the Bohemian Grove. The Bohemian Grove has this 40-foot concrete owl, and they have an altar in front of it. They sacrifice a child on this altar. They burn it up. Now they're doing baby dolls lately. I don't know if what they did in the past, in the 40s and 50s or whatever. And this is a continuation of the cult of Molech in the Bible. In the Bible, King Ahab and King Manasseh, they passed their seed through the fire. That means they sacrificed one of their children to burn in the cult of Molech ceremony. And okay, Alex Jones, he snuck in there and he filmed this thing, and you can see it online, and it's on my list of resources here. Okay, now there's Nixon and Reagan are there at the Bohemian Grove. All the rich and powerful go to the Bohemian Grove. Okay, and here they are. It's Zbigniew Brzezinski, and even the good guys, Newt Gingrich. Okay. We've got the Bushes, of course, the Clintons, Henry Kissinger, Tony Blair, Reagan. These are all people that go to the Bohemian Grove. It's a super secret. If you try to get in there, you'll be run off by paramilitary guards.
Is that an annual event?
It's the 2 weeks in January, and I've got this guy up here, and I wouldn't know, but Bryce Taylor mentions Bill Bennett. Bill and his brother Bob, they go to this thing, Bill Bennett's Mornings in America radio program. And last several years I've been paying attention to this, and he's got a guest speaker on the radio during the weeks that the Bohemian Grove is meeting. Okay? And you could bet, where's Obama during those 2 weeks? And is he going there? What do? They have drugs, they do all sorts of satanic things. It's satanic ritual is what it is. All right, Henry Kissinger. Yeah, if you recognize his faces. Now this is all online. You just type in images, Bohemian Grove, and here you go. You see it. William F. Buckley, the guy, he's supposed to be the conservative. They play conservative against liberal. Okay? They play both sides. As long as there's conflict, then they can say, well, we have a solution. Take your freedoms away. So, and if you look at the street map of Washington, D.C., there's a pentagram. The Baphomet is a 5-pointed star, a goat head. But especially the Washington Monument, the tallest obelisk in the world. There's like a pyramid shape on the top of this tall thing. And you got the dome of Washington, D.C. On top of the dome of the Capitol building is a statue. Statue of who? Columbia. Who's Columbia? Look that up on your own. And of course Lincoln here, he's sitting there looking over the whole thing. And he was a good guy, but they put his up there. Now this motif has been coming throughout history. Here's the Vatican. There's Vatican Dome, and that in the middle of that colonnade there is a Egyptian obelisk. Okay, that they moved from Egypt. And the pagan Romans put 20 of those things in Rome during the height of Rome. All right, and there's this pattern follows out. Now, if you go inside Washington, D.C. Capitol building and you look up there, inside the dome is a painting by Vatican painter Constantino Brumidi. Okay? And if you look at this thing, you see the Greek gods. There's Neptune with his trident. You see Athena with her spear. You see the Caphis, the staff with the wings and the snakes on it that we use for medicine. There's Washington sitting there surrounded by angels. Now, the title of this painting, if you didn't know, is The Apotheosis of George Washington. Apotheosis, you see there, what does that mean? Apotheosis means to ascend to godhood. Okay, not resurrected into heaven with Jesus. It's to ascend to godhood. Is George Washington a god all by himself? Is he standing over anything? Who put this up here? Okay, here's another Egyptian obelisk. These things are hundreds of tons. This is in London on the Thames River. It's in the middle of the square mile, the banking center of London. Okay, you pay your IRS taxes every year. Where does that money go? Does it pay for the military and the roads? No, it goes to these bankers here to pay interest on our debt to them. They don't tell you that. Audit the Fed, audit the IRS, good luck. It goes to these people here, and it's called the Crown. It's not the royal family, but that's the banking center world. They've got a marker there. They got a marker in Washington, D.C., marker in Rome, marker in the banking center. They control the money, the religion, and the military. The American military control. They also have one in Paris. You see the Eiffel Tower there, and they put a gold cap on it. Okay, and here's one in New York Central Park. It's one of 3 obelisks, and they form the pattern of Orion's belt in the stars, and the Statue of Liberty is off at an angle at the same orientation that Sirius, the star Sirius, would be from Orion's belt. These people, and you just go through this, and I found this reading Tom Horn. Okay, he's the chairman of the largest evangelical association in the country for over 20 years. Here's his book, Petrus Romanus, the Final Pope. Okay, Pope Francis. They predicted Francis Ratzinger Gregory would step down, and Francis would be the next pope a year before it actually happened. So they predicted that because of, and that book is 650 pages long. I can't go into all that, but that's where I found out about this Brumidi painting the thing there, and he's written a whole bunch of books. I got most of his books. So let's go back now. Tom Horn, he's in his book. He says that He went to the Supreme Lodge in Washington, D.C., talked to the head Freemason, and he says he's sure that every president from Washington on has participated in a secret Masonic swearing-in ceremony outside of the public swearing-in ceremony. To this monarch mind control, they control specific people, okay, like Michael Jackson. That guy was acting weird. Well, that's because he's got all these different personalities. His controller will access the personality, tell him to act like this or like that. Okay, Lady Gaga, see the eye, the all-seeing eye. The illumined ones have the eye that can see. All right. Now the movie The Manchurian Candidate. Okay, remember that with Frank Sinatra? That's no warning of possible future technology. Age-old European royalty. Remember how crazy these people were? They had used child abuse to achieve mind control of crude methods. It was enhanced by the Nazis. Bryce Taylor knows Dr. Mengele as Dr. Green. You know, he came over with the Project Paperclip. All right. And they advanced it with B.F. Skinner's electroshock experiments, his theories on operant conditioning. They created psychology to mind control our children in public schools. And I've got some references on that too. All right. So here's a guy, Fritz Springmeier. I was reading his book 15 years ago. I said, this is crazy. I stopped reading it. And then after coming across Bryce Taylor, and thanks for the memories, I got back into it. And I'm looking at this. And he's got this book. You can read it at fritzspringmeier.com. How the Illuminati create an undetectable mind control slave. Somebody's going to do something, like assassinate the president, like Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay, this is how they do it. He says that at China Lake, California Naval Ordnance Testing Station, they have these suspended cages with children 2 to 4 years old. There's 2,000 to 3,000 children in these cages receiving regular electroshocks. Okay, and other tortures to make their minds dissociated is what they call it. They have names for all this stuff. Now let's talk about Reagan here. We said he was attending Bohemian Grove. Now under Reaganomics, the filthy rich became 3 times richer, and the middle class stayed about the same. And here's a lady, Kathy O'Brien. Now she was a mind control slave. She was a presidential model like Marilyn Monroe. Okay. Specially trained to be a sex toy for the president, really. And so she said that she writes in a book that Reagan signed her death warrant right in front of her. Okay, and in a dissociated state, she couldn't say anything about it. But when these mind control slaves reach, if you don't want to listen, you can take a blue pill and go back to the Matrix. You go back to your life in the Matrix. I just want to remember, Morpheus told Neo, all I'm offering you is the truth. Okay? And you can read her book. If you don't believe it, I'm okay with that. But they were going to, when the mind control slave reaches 30 years old, on her 30th birthday, she's going to be given to that satanic army officer, Michael Aquino, and they make a snuff film of her, and so she was to be killed because at 30 years old, the mind breaks down and the altered memories, the altered personalities, and they remember each other's stuff there. So a man named Mark Phillips had CIA connections, and he knew about her husband and stuff, and had dealings with him, and he rescued her, and they wrote a book called Transformation of America. And some say that these people, that they have plans to put microchips in everyone's brain or something. Okay. Now, this is the craziest stuff. I'll have to leave out some of this stuff because it's so awful. But there's a guy named Ted Gunderson. He was head of the FBI for Los Angeles County for 27 years. If you have any questions, save them to the end, okay? 27 years. You can see him all over YouTube introducing Kathy O'Brien and Bryce Taylor and talking about their condition and a whole lot of other stuff. And he died of arsenic poisoning. They got to him. They shut him up. Okay. So here, now they control the movies. Here's the movie Noah. Remember, if you saw that recent movie Noah, there's the front of a ship. It's got a stairway up the middle and two columns. This is this big picture on the right here is the altar of Zeus, okay, which is referred to in Revelation 2:13 as Satan's seat, okay. That was moved to Berlin, okay, and it's sort of. But anyways, you see the motif here. A 1927 silent movie called Metropolis. You see in the bottom row here we have the stairway and the two places, two columns, stairway in the middle of two columns on the other side, and the movie featured the woman riding on the seven-headed beast, like in Revelation. All right, now here is the Democrat convention of 2012, where Obama accepted the nomination for president again, and you see the columns, you see the two columns and a stairway up the middle, the seat of Satan. Okay, these people are serious in their satanic worship. Okay? Gerald, why? Now you know. These guys are worshiping the devil. Okay? And it's both parties, Democrat and Republican. And, you know, Gerald Ford was on that picture with all the people that attend Bohemian Grove. And Kathy O'Brien writes a lot about Gerald Ford that I don't want to tell you about. And why did they pick Gerald Ford to be president after Watergate? Because he's a devil worshiper. All right, and here's President. This was in a magazine some time ago. Eisenhower classified German POWs after World War II as disarmed enemy forces, and they were surrounded in large enclosures, and they were not given food, water, or shelter until they died. So that means Eisenhower is a mass murderer, second only to Pol Pot. He killed 2 million. Eisenhower killed 1.7 million. And I've got references here. You can see this. If you want to take a blue pill. Okay, so do you think the IRS taxes you pay goes to the USA? No, it all goes to these bankers. These people's goal is to set up a world government for the Antichrist to rule us. All right, in 1871, they incorporated the District of Columbia as the United States, all capital letters. All right, the United States is a corporation, not a constitutional republic. The constitutional republic is the United States of America. Okay, but in 1933, there was a bankruptcy, and Roosevelt suspended the Constitution and dissolved the federal government. So why are they spending billions of dollars on all these elections? Because slaves who believe that they are free will work harder for their masters than slaves who are in chains. We're not rebelling against these people because we got the TV telling us the news. There's another war, another war, another war. And they supply both sides with weapons. They make money hand over fist, and they're using all of this money for a specific goal. It's not the end game is not just control, not just money, but they want to establish the Antichrist to rule the world. And Jesus said it'll only be 3.5 years. So they're going through all of this for 3.5 years. All right, sorry to put you through all of this, but that was my presentation. If you have any questions, or if you want to get a list of resources, and I got video DVDs of a TV show I did a couple years ago. I explained the secret society's basic understanding.